And most of my life, people have talked about AI, machine learning, and it was going to change the world and blah, blah, blah. And it never did, and never did, and never did, and never did. And then really when ChatGPT went live for people to use, like in my mind, it will be more significant than the first browser that came out. And it'll be more significant than the first like PC that was ever like built. The speed at which the change is coming at us is going to be breathtaking. And it's hard to even imagine the full impact of AI on everything we do. And I think I'm just an optimist where I really fundamentally believe that like the human species, we will figure out how to use this for the better. There'll be plenty of bad that comes with it, like any technology, but net, it will be way better for everybody. And it's exciting. So will it impact the mining space? 100%, right? And it will impact the mining space, I think, in the first phase will be like, how do you run the facilities more efficiently? How do you tune the chips more efficiently to the environment that you're in? Like, how do you integrate into the electrical grid in a more sophisticated way? Like, that's all of what's ahead of us. And look at the one thing that's very true about Bitcoin, about the Bitcoin algorithm, is that it's a drive to the lowest cost. It's a continuous grind to the lowest cost. And if you're not on that path of trying to figure out how to get to the lowest cost, you're going to get left behind. Whether it's new machines, whether it's lower electricity prices, whether it's optimizing your operations, like it's a constant grind to get more efficient. And there's no like stopping it. So AI I think will be a really important component in like helping us figure out how to make that whole piece more efficient. And I like integrating with electrical grid, I think is probably one of the biggest next frontiers for us. Like I've got a fundamental belief that Bitcoin mining, we're going to leave the kind of we've left actually the speculative phase of Bitcoin mining, becoming very institutionalized. I think it's going to become it's actually going to become part of the electrical grid. And Bitcoin miners will be treated more like a utility, where the utilities recognize this large base load that's an interruptible or intermittent load that they can fine tune. And it's happening. Like we're seeing it. We're seeing it on a grand scale in like West Texas right now, right? Like I literally can watch, I'm like, oh, must be hot in West Texas because the hash rate went boop.
How big of a drop is that? I mean, is that like 50 exahash and 100 exahash now?
Oh my God. Yeah. I was just looking. Yeah. I mean, it can drop 80 to 100 exahash.
And that's in 10 minutes now, 5 minutes still, or is it like over an hour? Because I mean, people don't understand how many megawatts that is. So try to put that in perspective, maybe for the normal viewer.
You do the math. How many megawatts is that?
I don't know. I mean, that could be 3,000 megawatts. Maybe.
No.
Depending on your machines, 1,000 to 3,000. So is that too much power?
It's probably close to a gigawatt worth of power, right?
I mean, because most people aren't running hydros. Most people are running S19s, right?
Yeah.
So, model.
But yes, I mean, literally there's close to a gigawatt worth of power that shuts off in West Texas to balance the Texas grid. Wild. Like the amount of batteries that it would require to do the same thing don't even exist, right?
They don't exist, but they're also not as good because they can't do as long as ramp down for or ramp up because they have a limited amount of duration. There's also tons of frequency control you can do that batteries can do as well, but they only have one revenue stream. And that's what I talked a lot about on my other episode with Lucas, was like the multiple revenue streams that Bitcoin miners have from energy and Bitcoin. If you're a battery and you have low energy prices and you don't have volatility, you're not making money. Utilities in New York, are they knocking on your door saying, Mike, we see the future. Bitcoin miners are resources.
Come on.
What's going to take them to get there?
You said New York. It's not happening in New York, right? New York will be the last, well, maybe California. New York and California will race to see who's the last one to adopt new technology. I will say, gosh, last summer, I was at the Bitcoin Park in Nashville, which is just an amazing organization, amazing spot. And we met with the CEO of TVA. And the CEO of the TVA 1 year ago spent the first 15 minutes telling me and some other CEOs of mining companies how important Bitcoin mining is to the TVA grid as this stabilizer, as this enabler They run new transmission lines. They see how they could drop Bitcoin mining at the end of the transmission lines to monetize that deployment until the factories come in and somebody else wants to use that power. And you can then move the Bitcoin mining to like the next development. And it was one of those moments, JP, where I'm like, oh my God, we've been preaching this for 8 years and now they're starting to talk back. Now they're preaching it to us. Like we're getting there, right? And look at utilities are the slowest changing organizations on the planet. So it'll probably be another 5 years, but it's happening. And every case study we have, it just continues to drive home the point that this is super important. And look at some point, I think Bitcoin mining will penetrate the electrical grid to the point where you can't shut down Bitcoin mining. And I think that's where the grid will collapse. But we need it. Like they got to work together, right? Like, and I think that'll usher in kind of a whole new world.
And to your point, we're always searching for the lowest cost power. And so what happens if these miners at higher cost energy sites start to have to turn off? Do the utilities have to rethink their energy rates because it is such a large impact or has become such a large impact? Or do we think that it'll just be a smaller kind of turning off and over time, or the upgrade cycle will always continue? And 4-cent energy with Bitcoin price going through the roof will always be adequate to mine? Or do you truly believe, Mike, that 4.5-cent, 5-cent energy will at some point be too expensive in the near future to run a profitable mine?
So I think we're a long ways away from kind of that next step down in energy price, because we drop, especially in the United States, well, really globally, we've completely dropped the ball in terms of energy production. And I think we're going to see a resurgence of new energy production coming online. And I think some of that will be fueled by Bitcoin miners wanting to buy more energy. Some of it will be the AI. Some of it will be just manufacturing coming back to the US, or just new technology like, nuclear power and such. So I think we need a whole lot of additional generation before electricity pricing can come down, right? But it will. And if you're not at the forefront of that when it happens, you will get left behind. So I think, for between 3.5 and 4.5 cent power is kind of what you're going to get in the United States. I think anybody that says otherwise, as you've been around a long time, there's a catch, right?
Yeah.
If it sounds too good to be true, it is. It literally is too good to be true, because there's some catch. Like, sure, you can get 2.5 cent power, but you have to curtail every 20 minutes.
Your machines won't last a year.
Your machines won't last. Like, run the numbers, that's okay. But the problem is every time you curtail your machine, you lose, 1% of your machines or something.
And talking about like curtailments and reliability of systems, are you guys running hydro machines yet? Have you moved to immersion? I mean, let's talk through that iteration. And do you still see air cooling being around? Do you think it'll fall off? How are you viewing the landscape, knowing that you have a very deep insight into everyone using all this hash rate?
Yeah, so we've experimented with a lot of different parts of it, like trying to figure out what's going to be the right solution. The bigger miners, I think, are way more advanced than we are in terms of the stuff we're doing around that. So it's, I look to whether it's CleanSpark or Riot or like how they're thinking about it, how they're deploying. I think naturally, immersion or direct-to-chip cooling seems like that is where the ultimate solution ends up. It's just way easier, way cleaner. It's simpler. I think it opens up all kinds of new opportunities for mining. If you're running a direct-to-chip operation, you can drop that into neighborhoods and cities and places, and it's not disruptive. As much as we'd like to believe you can't put a 40-foot container of air-cooled machines anywhere near where somebody lives, right? It's just too freaking loud.
Yeah, I mean, even the dry wet coolers, they're still very loud. Like being above those, like it's different type of fans. To your point, it's not facing directly at a house and it's venting upwards, but they're not quiet yet.